Our next guest is Gail McLaughlin. She is running for lieutenant governor in California. That election is on June 5th, as I've probably told the audience a million times already. Gail, you won about 78 different awards, all for doing wonderful things like Human Rights Awards, Day of Peace Award, Award for Excellent Leadership. I love this one, Best Politician Against All Odds. So that's great, and you're doing something with Jane Sanders now, and you're endorsed by all the progressive groups, Our Revolution National, 38 chapters of that, the California Green Party, et cetera. So I like that, by the way, of the different people you're endorsed by, not only Ralph Nader, but Jimmy Dore. So that's clear. Who's the real progressive in the race is clear, okay? So we can skip all those questions.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go to the reason why all those people are backing you. And one of the reasons is the work you did at the Richmond Progressive Alliance. And that's an amazing story, and one that not enough people know about. So can you tell us what happened in Richmond? What was the background? What was your role in it? And then what was the results that you guys got?
Right. Yeah. First of all, thank you, Cheng, for having me on the show. It's a real privilege to be here. Yes, we formed a progressive alliance in Richmond because we realized back in 2003 that the whole city council at that time was in the hands of Chevron. Chevron had purchased the whole city council, funded their campaigns, and intimidated them all. So everything was done by the corporate model, and nothing was changing in Richmond. It was spiraling downward. We had a lot of crime, a lot of pollution, a lot of health problems. And so we had enough. We were a group of activists in the city, local activists from different parties, some Green Party members, some progressive Democrats, some having no party affiliation. And we had enough, and we decided to become the leaders we were waiting for. So we came together as a diverse, inclusive, year in, year out organization, progressive, corporate free, taking no corporate money. And we decided to build local political power. And we did this by building a local movement and by running candidates for office without any corporate money. And I was the first corporate-free council member elected in 2004, and then I was elected mayor in 2006 and re-elected mayor in 2010. And then after I termed out as mayor, I ran for city council and won that race in 2014. All ran and won without corporate money. But I wasn't the only one. By 2016, we have 5 corporate-free council members sitting on the city council out of 7 total. So that's a super majority. So we really did change the composition of the council. And we did this in spite of Chevron spending millions to try and defeat us. In 2014, Chevron spent $3.5 million to try and defeat me and other progressives, and we all won, and all the Chevron candidates lost. But we did this to change the quality of life for our residents. I mean, that's why we changed the composition of the council, and we were able to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour, pass rent control, reduce crime dramatically. We have a 75% reduction in homicides over the 8 years I was mayor. We limited Chevron's pollution. We got over $100 million in additional taxes from Chevron, and we became part of a community choice energy program where our residents get cleaner and greener and cheaper sources of electricity. So these are just some of the things we were able to do by forming an alliance and working together, coming together based on our progressive values and setting party affiliation aside.
Gail, it's not hyperbole to say that you're an American hero. And now this is another race on Tuesday that I'm going to be on the edge of my seat for, and they're spending millions of dollars against you. But you've been there before, right? So
yeah, we're used to that.
Yeah, but now this is on a statewide level, and California is gigantic. And
That's
so,
right.
and I like the word you're using, or the phrase you're using, corporate free.
Right.
And there's a bunch of corporate free candidates, and I can't wait to see how you guys are going to do, and it's not easy. But I want to stay on Richmond for a second.
Sure.
So, a couple of amazing things there. You know, the Republicans always say, you have to keep giving tax cuts and all the benefits to corporations, and it'll eventually trickle down to you. If you dare take anything away, they'll run away, and then you'll have nothing, and you'll be broke, et cetera. But you guys taxed Chevron an extra $100 million in just one mid-sized city. So did they run away? Did all the jobs leave Richmond?
Nope, they're still there. They're still operating. They're still, unfortunately polluting our community, even though we have limited the pollution. We need to do more work, and we need the air quality district to really do more for limiting the pollution. And the state needs to require refinery cities to, limit that pollution and cause refineries to stop polluting our communities totally. So, they stay in place because, they have all their equipment, they have their infrastructure, they have a great place right on the bay. Richmond is right on the bay, right across from San Francisco, and they're not going anywhere. What we want them to do is eventually switch to renewables, or if they leave, we'll find another good business to a real good business, one that doesn't harm our community, to situate itself there.
But I love that you called their bluff and proved their lie. My favorite example of that was when the Republican governor of Pennsylvania said that if he didn't give tax cuts to the fracking companies, they would go somewhere else.
Yeah.
The shale gas is under Pennsylvania. Where would they go to get it? Right?
That's right.
It's preposterous, right?
It really is. And just a point here is that there has not been a new refinery built in the United States since the 1970s. And that's because cities, communities don't want refineries built in their city. So, they're not going to just get up and leave. They're where they are, and we just have to keep fighting back and doing right, for our communities and for the planet. And that's, fighting these big oil giants is what it's all about.
So the other amazing stat from there was that you, as you pointed out there, you reduced homicide by 75% over 8 years when you were mayor. Mm-hmm. How in the world did you do that?
Yeah. So we did that by addressing the root causes of crime. What a novel notion. Instead of saying, the police have to stamp out crime, we knew that wasn't the way to do it. People end up in crime lifestyles because they haven't had opportunities for the most part, especially, when we're talking about street crime. And so when you give people opportunities, they're able to make a healthy lifestyle for themselves. So some of the things we did was set up an Office of Neighborhood Safety with outreach teams into neighborhoods hardest hit by crime. And these outreach teams were made up of formerly incarcerated individuals who had turned their lives around, and they could relate to the young people who were involved in crime in our neighborhoods. And they talked to them and they told them, you have to, move in a different direction, and we'll help you. We'll provide you with services for job training and help you get your GED or substance abuse programs. And they really mentored these young people and quelled the violence as a result. So that was one way. We also were able to put more and more programs in our community centers. We had an award-winning green job training program. And as a result of that, we became #1 in the Bay Area for solar installed per capita. So we really, stepped out and gave opportunities. We also had a community-involved police department because we hired a community-involved police chief who got some national attention by holding a Black Lives Matter sign during a rally in Richmond. Myself and the vice mayor were with him. So we really, did some cutting-edge stuff, and it was, really great to have a police department that was showcasing a different way rather than what we see all over the country. Too much of the brutality that we see.
Man, it's amazing what you can do when you break corporate chains and right-wing mythology. It turns out you can solve crime, you can solve all these different issues and actually look out for the community if you come from the community. So one more question about what you guys did there, because one topic after another was one miracle after another, and all the things that they said weren't possible that you all did. So you kept homeowners in their home when their mortgages were underwater, and the banks came for them. How'd you do that?
So this was a real innovative program. About 50% of mortgages in Richmond were underwater during the foreclosure crisis. And we said to the big banks, you need to reduce the principals for our homeowners, modify the loans. Economists of all political stripes said that's the way to address the housing crisis. Reduce the principals in line with the home value, because the home values had went down so much. And so the banks said, no, we can't do that. These are, these loans have been pooled and there are investors all around the world. We can't get them together to agree on how to modify these. So sorry, we can't do it. So we said, well, if you can't do it, sell the loans to us, the city, and we will reduce the mortgages for our homeowners. And if you won't sell them to us voluntarily, we'll acquire them by the city's power of eminent domain. And then we will reduce the principals and put the loan right back in the hands of the homeowner, keeping them in the home all along. So that was the effort that we put forward. It got national attention. We weren't able to move forward with the program because, and this is a reason why we need corporate-free elected officials, Wall Street got to Congress, and Congress is often controlled by these big financial interests, and they put forward a bill that said any public entity that acquires a mortgage by eminent domain can get no mortgage insurance, no government insurance for the mortgage. And we needed to have insurance for the mortgages. So that forced us to set the program aside. But because we had fought so hard and pushed so hard, Wall Street did voluntarily do some principal reductions. So we were able to gain some success, but not as much as we had wanted. So it's a long-term struggle, as you know.
You shouldn't run for lieutenant governor. You should run for boss, because that's what you are. And I wish Obama was paying attention when he said, oh, there's nothing we could do. It turns out there's a lot you could try and a lot you could do to get results for people. So now, final thing is about this particular race for lieutenant governor in California. How much money are your more establishment Democratic opponents spending in the primary?
They are spending millions of dollars. One of my opponents, her father owns a big development company, and he put in $5 million into a super PAC that's sponsored by the California Medical Association, which opposes single payer SB 562, which is the California single payer healthcare bill. So he put in $5 million for his daughter to win this race. She herself put in $2.5 million of her own money. She also has been the president of this development company. So, the way I see it, to have a father put in $5 million to try and buy his daughter a lieutenant governor's seat is really outrageous. And, there are other candidates that are just funded heavily by the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies. And there's a Republican candidate that's putting in millions of dollars of his own money, $500,000 a day. He's already put in millions of dollars. So there are millions of dollars in this race. My campaign is unique because we're building from the grassroots up. We're using social media. We have more social media engagements than most candidates, certainly, a lot more than all my rivals. We actually were the winner of social media engagements on some weeks. Other times we were maybe the second winner or something. But we are really, really doing well in this social media world, which we think is the way to win. And, winning by reaching out, winning by field campaigning, and winning by addressing the issues.
So I'll give people a sense of context there. So Allison Harsin is running for governor in California. I'm sorry, senator in California, and she has more social media engagement than the other 31 people running for senator, including Senator Feinstein. Gail has even more social engagement than Allison does.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
amazing stuff. That's grassroots. And on Tuesday, we're going to find out, and we don't know. We don't know if that grassroots activism can overpower $500,000 a day in advertising, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And that's the
We
battle we're in. So
absolutely, absolutely, and I'm very optimistic because we've worked so hard. We saw what Bernie did. We saw how his grassroots efforts snowballed. Our grassroots efforts are snowballing. So we feel really, really optimistic, and lots of people are working hard to make this happen.
all right, so if you want to help Gail, and any right-minded American would, gailforcalifornia.org, you see where my perspective is. And then you see the links for donations and volunteers. The election is next Tuesday, June 5th. So get involved in the campaign, gailforcalifornia.org. But most importantly, go vote. Go have everyone in your family and your friends vote. Because if you're going to be corporate free, the only way to do it is people power. And if anybody knows that, it's definitely Gail McLaughlin. So Gail, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
So much, and everybody keep organizing. When I'm elected, I'll keep that organizing effort going. We got to make it happen. That's how we make change in this country, and it's certainly in the state of California.